Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. Well, it's that time. It's not been quite a week again, December 10th, and we're going to do a propagation update. It's going to be a little different today because we're going to actually pot some of these up, and we're going to take and propagate some new ones, and we're going to go take some cuttings for some more. These things have been going crazy. They're putting leaves out everywhere. A lot of them's rooting in. We're doing pretty good now. We still have no sign of anything on our elderberries. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all our elderberries out. We'll wait and we'll take fresh cuttings in the spring when they start to come alive. But we have a lot of these ones that's been propagating that's starting to put out leaves all over. We've got a wheelbarrow here that we've mixed up quite a bit of mix because we've got about 14 plants that we're putting up today. And right now this mix is my normal mix. It's 1-1-1, 1 part wood chip compost, 1 part perlite, and 1 part peat moss. I've already potted up some. I've got an Italian 258 here. This was in a tree pot, so I couldn't see the roots, which it had a lot of roots on it, even though it's just got 1 leaf. This was started October 24th, so it's been a while. We potted up a couple here. We've got an Olympian. It was doing good. We got a Black Mission here. Both of those were started November 13th, so they're doing good. Now, I always pot them up when they start to put out roots. Now, this is an LSU purple that was November 5th. Now, some of these are having a rough time because the cellophane was over the leaves, so the leaves that was under it was pretty. But you can see the roots are starting to go crazy. Now, this was on the 14th of last month, and we have some others. Now, some of these, the leaves have got knocked off because the cellophane, they start trying to grow between them. But even this one with just a little roots coming out, I'll pot these up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, for people that's new to the channel, I'm going to go through the process. I have one pot here ready, and I'm just going to push this out of here, and we're going to drop it down in there, and then we'll fill it with compost. Now, after I pot all these up, they'll actually go out in the greenhouse where it's kind of cool, but I'll keep them warm enough to keep them from freezing. Now we're going to do another one here, just to show you those newcomers, the complete process. If we can get these pots apart. Sometimes when you have these new ones, they really have a problem coming apart. I like the little 1 gallon pots. But what I'll do is I'm going to put some compost in the bottom of here. Then I'm going to take this pot, and what I'm going to do is bring this at level, or maybe possibly a little bit below level. And then I'm just going to put compost all around it, or my mix all around it. And with this method here, I found that a lot of people talk about disturbing the roots, don't pot them up. If you use this method, they'll never know that they've went to another pot, except they have room to stretch out the roots. So I did say in the earlier video, the only thing that might scare them when I drop them. I don't know if that's a case of fear for the plants, but anyway, this is the way we do it. We just do that. Then what I'm going to do is I'll take this top off, this stuff that's loose on top. So push on the bottom. I'll take and remove my tag and try to hold this together and just throw it off in that hole. And if you're planting a little deep and you feel it a little higher, don't worry about it. It's just going to root out there. These aren't like fruit trees with grafts and stuff like that. They'll put roots out. Even if you compost up around them, they'll start putting roots into that compost. But there you go. It's just a matter of doing it that way. Now, what I'm going to show next is I've got some Texas Everbearing cuttings that I've had in the refrigerator. I'm going to take and pot those up, or I'm going to take and propagate those. So we'll go through that process today. I'm going to go ahead and do these, and then we'll get into the rest of that. Okay, this is what it's looking like out here in the greenhouse. We have some of our older ones, and we have our newer ones that's potted up. As you can see, a lot of these that were smaller that's potted up, they're really taking off. They're getting pretty good sunshine. They're getting a little bit of shade because we have our covers on our citrus. It got kind of cold last night outside in just under 30, 29 something, I think. And you can see we have our Christmas lights here. We plug these in at night and we put our little cover over them, keeping that warmth, and it keeps them going solid. But these are new ones, are all watered in. We got 14 more, and I'm sure next week we're going to have quite a few more. Okay, it's been 3 days. I didn't get around to finishing the other that after I had taken and potted up those ones and got them out there. I was going to start some more, and I did start a few, but I haven't finished that up. And like I say, it's been 3 days, and I got to looking out there at my propagation center, and 9 more. And one of these has really got to going crazy. You can see the roots are actually coming out the top. So these things are up and going. You know, we had 14 the last time. Now we've got another 9. I'm going to get this one in because once these roots are out from in that cellophane, they're going to want to dry out. Now what I did was I didn't fill this all the way up so I could come around here and bury these roots. But anyway, today we're going to go out, and I said I was going to propagate some, and then I was going to take some cuttings, but we're going to do it in reverse. We're going to go ahead and take some cuttings, and then we'll kind of talk about them while we propagate. So I'm going to go ahead and get these taken care of, and then we'll go take some cuttings. All right, we're down here at the figs. Now here's what's been happening with a lot of our figs when they get ready. Because of cold weather, even the dog don't like them when they split open. Now a lot of these, now some of these are ready, and I don't know if it's the cold weather got them, but you can see this is loaded up. Let's see. This is a black Madeira KK. Let me get the fig hound dog here. There you go. There's your fig. Well, that one probably wouldn't need picked, but it'll be all right. There's a few that's still not quite ripe. Okay, I'm going to take a cutting of this Peter's honey. I don't need it to be real tall. I'm going to cut it back here and then have it branch out. But if you're going to take a cutting off of an existing fig tree, make sure you cut it at an angle. Now this has some figs. I'm not going to worry about these figs. And any little buttons, you have to watch if you got buttons already popping up with figs when you plant these, because I had one that was getting some fig. Now I'm going to leave this here until I come back and mark it, because you want to make sure you mark it. But there's a few varieties that I don't have enough cuttings, and this is one of them. So now this yellow long neck here, I want some more cuttings from it. I'm going to leave these branches that's coming out here. I'm just going to do this the same way. I'm going to lob it back kind of close. Now it does have one less fig here that's not ready. The long neck fig looks a lot like I'm going to leave this right here too. It looks a lot like the Peter's honey, and the flavor's kind of the same too. Nice honey flavored fig. Now if you just get you one of these little acrylic paint pencils, and put some kind of mark on it where you'll know what it is. That way you can keep it separate, and then you can cut them and bag them. I'm trimming some of these leaves off here. That way I don't have all that come back. Now when I do these up green, you get a whole lot of caustic sap runs out. These are more going dormant. There, see a little bit of sap, but not much. We're going to mark this one too. And depending on how many varieties you got to what you might need to put, I know I only got one variety starts with yellow, so we're gonna do that. And we got a I-258 here, an Italian 258. And that'll be it for us now. I have a lot of other varieties, but there's no sense in me taking a bunch of cuttings. Some of these I've already took cuttings from. Some I've got enough of that variety, and some like these are some that I found that I really like, so I'm going to take and plant a few more, and that way make sure too, if I do lose them in this winter weather, that I'll be able to actually have something to replace it. But we're going to get these back up there to the shop, and we're going to talk one more time on making cuts on these, and how I've planted them up, for those of you that haven't heard this yet. All right, now I've got these. Now I always cut the bottoms even. You need a good sharp pair of cutters. Now with some of these bigger ones like these here, to make your final cut, you're going to want to get you a nice sharp pruning saw and saw them. You don't want to crush them, and they're kind of big. Now it's all right when I take them off the plant. It does leave a little bit of a jag there. It would be better if I used the pruning saw, but that's the way that goes. Now what we're going to do, I've cut these others up. What I've got is a mixture here of cinnamon and water. That's what I've been using this year. And anyway, I'm going to cut these. Now you could just use 3 nodes if you want. I do 4 if they're short. If they're longer, I do 3, and I just cut the top at an angle, and I do the bottom one smooth, and then I'll come back and do the same with this. Cut it at an angle, cut the bottom smooth, and And this is what we got here. We've got uh, three out of that one. We've got 4 out of this one. We're going to put these in, take these out, and I'm going to put these over here to dry. I have my Peter's honey. I have 4. I have 4 of the yellow long necks. Now these are going to be potted up. I'm fixing to pot these in just a minute, but we're going to show on potting on some Texas Everbearing I have. But what I'm doing here, I'm letting these dry. I've got some beeswax right here. It's warmed up. It's just warm enough to where it will flow. And once these dry, I'll coat the top of the ones that have a cut. I'm not going to coat any other places, just the tops of those ones. Okay, we're going to go ahead and coat these. We're going to put the top in there. That's all it takes. It's not very warm, so it dries kind of quick. We're not going to do the bottom, but if you was going to store these, you would want to go ahead and coat that bottom too. But just remember that your top is the one you want to coat. For those of you that's buying your cuttings and propagate them, the leaf node is always below where it's setting the bud. That's where your new leaf or where a fig's going to set. So, and we can show you on these ones that had green, this is where the leaf, this will drop off eventually, but you can see it forming a bud here. Looks like it might be a fig or something. If it does come out a fig, we're going to get rid of that, because until it gets rooted in good, gets a good amount of leaves, we don't want to set any figs. There's no reason to try to produce figs in that situation. I wasn't going to plant these right now because I thought they might take a while to dry, but we're going to go ahead and plant them. And we're going to discuss some of the other ones that we have that we intend to plant. So we'll start with these Peter's honey. Now my mixture when I pot them in the cups is 50% peat moss, 50% perlite, and 50% compost. And then I add about 2/3 of a cup of fertilizer, just some chicken litter, which is about a 3-3-3. It's not very strong, but organic fertilizer. That way, it's got microbes and stuff. Now, people a lot of them want sterile dirt. Well, that's fine if that's what you want is sterile dirt. Get sterile dirt, but just know I want healthy plants. Now, the cinnamon is actually like it's a fungicide, so it keeps. So far, it seemed to be pretty good to keep the fungus off the sides. Now, we're going to talk about some of these that I saved. Now, these were saved about 2 months ago, and these were put in the refrigerator. I coated both ends, just like I say. Now, when I go to put these in, all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a fresh cut on the bottom end and then plant them. Now, you can take the rest of the wax off. It's not necessary. It'll root around it. In fact, it might not even root at the bottom first. It might root up higher on one of these other nodes. So, but anyway, that's something to know. Now, a lot of times whenever I get to doing this, I get excited about planting figs, and sometimes I want to tell you something and I forget about it. So, but I'll just push these down in there deep. Now, some of these are pretty big, so that hole not going to be big enough. I try to get a couple nodes underground if I can. Now, I got a situation here with this one here. You can see it's got a limb coming out. Now, that will make it a little harder to push in, but it will push in just fine. Now, I don't fill these this way. What I'm going to do is make sure you put a tag in. Now, again, I'm putting these in a bag. I slide this tag down the side. Make sure you put a date on it. That way you can tell how long it's been. If there's a problem, you might think in germination. or in propagation and putting out roots, you'll know. Now, don't think because maybe this one puts out roots in a couple of weeks and the rest don't for 4 or 5 or maybe 6 weeks. Don't think that there's something wrong with them. Just realize some cuttings just, and it might be off the same thing, but some cuttings take longer. Now, I just use my little siphon hose here and I wash this dirt into this hole. And I wet this down good and then I'll let it drain out the bottom. And the reason for that is I want there to be plenty of water, but I don't want them to be drowned in water. So it'll drain out the holes in the bottom, and I usually go and water them twice. That way I get plenty of water down in there. And like I say, the excess is going to drain out. So that's all it is to that part. Now, your cups. When I make my cups, I just take and I cut off a little piece of the side, and it's just with my scissors. Just go and I just cut off a piece of the side, and that gives plenty of drainage. Not a lot of stuff's going to come out the bottom, such as that, and that's all it is to it. You know, it's simple to propagate. If you have any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer. Now, I wouldn't say I'm an expert. I've been propagating figs primarily for the past, this is the 3rd year, and I do propagate a lot of plants. And I have a lot of information, but whenever I start trying to think about information, I start, my cognitive function doesn't work real well. So I start pausing. I'm focused on something else besides this. But I'd really like you to try to start them if you can, if you want to grow a fig, and if you're a gardener and you want to do something new. It's just really exciting to see these come out, and where you have fruit the first year, the amazing different flavors from different varieties of figs and such as that. But anyway, I thank you for watching this video all the way through. If you're not a subscriber, you want to see more on propagation, and you want to keep updated on how these figs that I'm propagating are going, well, of course, just hit that subscribe, hit the bell, select all, and of course, give it a big thumbs up and share this video. It really helps my channel. And as always, enjoy that gardening experience.